Welcome back to Garage Misadventures. I'm Doug, and today we are getting into some of the restoration of my 1973 Volkswagen Thing. We're starting with replacing the oil filler and vent. I also had to put a battery charger on the battery because I've been a pretty lousy car owner lately, and I haven't started in a while. It's funny how I've got to do it next weekend, turns into another week, and then couple months go by. Been really busy lately, so I threw the battery charger on. This is another area we're going to have to focus on. There's some corrosion around the battery. We're going to have to do some rust control on the floor pans before they get any worse. And I don't think this is where how the battery is originally supposed to sit, because the seat springs, which I took off and they're sitting here to the side, were over the top of the battery, and someone had taken and put this piece of 2x6 over the hot terminal to keep it off of the battery, keep the battery and the springs from contacting. I really don't think that's how it's meant to be. Plus there's some pretty questionable looking wiring in this area, and in all areas really, so we're going to be having to clean up some of the wiring here pretty quick too. So hopefully once we get the oil filler done, we'll be able to start the car. Alright, so here we are, ready to put this on. Here's our old gasket. It was very flat and very split, so we're going to toss it. Here's our alternator stand, and you can see this staining on this header pipe right here, where it's been leaking for quite some time, and quite a while, and burning on the header pipe. So I've got our new filler, got our new nut. I'm going to put our new gasket on. Our new nut. Thread it down to where it's supposed to be against the filler. Try to get this carefully started so we don't cross thread it. I'm going to go ahead and use the internal pipe wrench here. I've got the other tool set up on my torque wrench for the final torque. Once you get it locked onto the nut, it's not so bad, but until you find the exact right spot, it's a bit of a pain. Alright, so I got it lined up how I want it. You just go the opposite direction with the internal pipe wrench to get it broken loose. According to my Bentley manual, the final torque on this is 40 foot-pounds, so that's what we have set up here. Like I said, this gland nut is the engagement on the tool is not great. I would have liked it to be better. And once you can't see it, it's even more fun to try to find. Alright, well, unfortunately, it is not wanting to engage as well. Alright, so that wasn't wanting to engage, so that is unfortunate because I really wanted to use that tool. But sometimes things just don't go to plan. So we're going to make sure our internal pipe wrench is nice and on there. Which of course, now that I took it off, it doesn't want to. Get in the right spot. And the hex on the internal pipe wrench is 15/16. Unfortunately, I was not able to find one quickly. Socket quickly, so I grabbed a 1-inch. It's a little loose, but I think for what we're doing here, it will work. Alright, and there's the torque click. And there it is. So it looks like our new gasket's sitting really nice. It's not pooched out around it like the old one was. You're not going to see me put the vent tube back on today. And the reason for that is because if you can see right here, this is not at all what's supposed to be there. That is some contraption. This is a piece of PVC pipe and a goober of silicone, and it has a really cheesy paper air filter in it. So this air filter assembly is really whacked. Fortunately, I have the original oil air filter, and that is what's going to be going back in here. And these hoses are all supposed to be, these vent hoses are all supposed to be going into that oil air filter. What was on there was actually this, and it was just kind of laying down here in the bottom. So I'm not going to bother putting that back on. We are just going to order the replacement hoses for these breathers and put new hoses and put the oil air filter back in. So a lot of things to sort out on this car, but we are slowly getting there, one thing at a time. And one last thing, putting a new gasket in the oil cap. And put the oil cap on. We're good to go. Well, thanks for watching Garage Misadventures. Today you saw a project that did not quite go to plan. I really wanted to use the gland nut socket, and it was just not going to happen. I even tried it a couple times off camera that you guys didn't see. Thankfully, the internal pipe wrench came through for us. The threads in the alternator stand were not real great, and there was a lot of turning resistance, and the engagement of this tool into the gland nut was just not good enough to get to the torque. Thankfully, we had this tool. This is the General 139D 1-inch internal pipe wrench. Find it at a hardware store, Amazon. Some of the Volkswagen shops sell it. Not an expensive tool at all. This is easily something you can do in your garage. I do, for some of the more difficult things, I take my car in and let the air-cooled Volkswagen specialists here in town take care of it for me, but if I let them fix everything, I'd be broke. So I try to take care of what I can, and what's over my head, I let them take care of. Please subscribe. We've got more Volkswagen stuff coming, more car stuff, woodworking, other projects around the house that are going to be pretty interesting. And we would love it if you subscribed. Hit the like button, drop us a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in upcoming videos. We've got this, and we've got our 68 bus we're going to be doing some videos on as well. So look for that, and we'd love to see some more interactions. So love to see some comments about what you'd like to see in the future. But thanks for watching. Hope this helped you out, and we'll see you next time.